am I the asshole for asking my husband if he washed his hands? My husband and me seem to have different standards on hygiene and cleanliness. I might be overly worried about germs to him, but whenever we go places I want us to wash our hands. When we get back, he started making food today for himself, and I asked him if he washed his hands as a question, and he said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And this led to a fight where I told him if he would just do it I wouldn't feel a need to ask, and he said I'm belittling him and then raised his voice and got mad. I told him not to talk to me like that. It's like getting to me that at night he doesn't always brush his teeth, never flosses, etc. So am I belittling and in the wrong? Not the asshole. All these people who think you have a germ issue are baffling. It is standard good practice to wash your hands after coming home from being out in public. It is also food prep 101 that you wash your hands before starting food prep. If people don't want to do these things, fine. But they shouldn't be getting defensive about it and asking what the fuck is wrong with you in response to asking your partner if they washed their hands is over the top aggressive. I hope you aren't treated this poorly on a regular basis. Not the asshole. I don't want to eat after someone with nasty hands has already touched the food. Not the asshole. Not washing his hands and handling your food if it's only his food. That's his problem, I guess. Is gross. If I read correctly, his dental hygiene is lacking too. I'd cool down and then address this. I could not be with someone with these issues. Not the asshole. His reaction was hostile and inappropriate. As his spouse, you should want the best out of each other. My dad doesn't wash his hands, even when he uses the bathroom. Sir, I feel your pain. I think from his reaction, he's a bit insecure about this habit. Genuinely, was it not an issue prior to marriage? Not the asshole. It's just common sense to wash hands when you get back from going out. Because you live together, his actions or lack thereof directly affect you. If he gets sick, you're going to get sick too. He owes you and himself the courtesy of having basic hygiene. Just curious. How often are you sick? Do you feel you've gotten sick because of his lack of hygiene or from his spreading germs? Your answer won't make you right or wrong. But I'm just wondering. These are getting ridiculous. What is it with so many posts where husbands have bad personal hygiene? I know there are some posts about women. Doesn't always clean his teeth. Doesn't wash his hands. Did the pandemic never happen? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The bar for men is so low it's in hell. I would go with nah. It's kind of an incompatibility issue. There are people who are more keen on washing hands and hygiene and people who are not. I believe that you cannot really change a person at his/her core unless he/she really wants it. This is part of it. As if and how many children one wants and how one handles money or what is important in life. Someone commented that you should get divorced. It's pretty much always the little stuff that do it. It's not about washing hands per se, but more of your personal values. You can't infantilize him. You can't follow him around and make sure he washes his hands. He made food for himself and he can face his own consequences of not washing his hands. Should he be cleaning himself? Yeah. The only leg you have to stand on is if it affects you. He wouldn't be able to touch my food or touch my private parts until he washes his hands. He can't kiss me without brushing his teeth. Then maybe he'd get into the habit because you're not willing to sacrifice your own health and comfort because he's unhygienic. Leave him alone unless you're affected. Not the asshole hygiene matters. It matters a lot. Not the asshole we are still literally in a pandemic that the government refuses to acknowledge. Washing your hands isn't hard. Also leaping to what the fuck is wrong with you is a red flag the size of Texas. What a jump to make. Not gonna lie. I barely wash my hands compared to some of y'all. I've worked construction for a number of years and the opportunity to wash your hands sometimes isn't there. I've eaten with sheetrock dust all over me. Paint, sawdust etc. Now if I can wash my hands when they are that dirty I will. But I generally only wash my hands if they feel dirty or are visibly dirty or after using the bathroom. If I touch a doorknob or leave the house and I'm not touching greasy shit then I don't care. I rarely ever get sick as well. Not the asshole basic hygiene is expected from an adult. Not the asshole, did he wash his hand due? 'Cause it's nasty if he didn't. I refuse to believe this post is real. He probably knows and if he chooses not to wash his hands is a conscious choice and you asking is treating him like a child. I think you're not compatible if him washing his hands is very important to you and he prefers not to wash his hands. You're the asshole you weren't really asking him if he washed his hands. I mean, if he said no and continued on his merry way. What then? By asking the question, you were passive-aggressively telling him to wash his hands and making a judgment about his cleanliness. If you are concerned about his health, just say that. If germs freak you out, just say that. Making him feel like a child is not going to encourage him to listen. It's more likely to do the opposite. I'll wash up before making food. But I don't wash my hands every time I come back home feta being out. Not the asshole. We wash our hands when we get home and before preparing food. We also brush our teeth. Does he always yell at you? That's a deal breaker to me. Not the asshole. Not washing hands before preparing food is nasty anyway, but we just went through a pandemic. How can one not wash their hands? Info. Do you ask it regularly or was this the first time? I would bet money he doesn't wash his hands after visiting the urinal. Men seem to consistently not act like adults and then get mad that their wives treat them like children. Not the asshole. It's dirty outside. If he gets sick you could too. His hygiene is awful. Not the asshole and his overreaction and disrespect over a simple question is concerning. I think it is gross to eat and prepare food before washing your hands. Listen. IDK if I have a normal family. But in my house, husband, myself, daughter, and son, we always remind each other to wash our hands when we get home. Always. And always have. That's been the norm since I can remember. Not only that, but before we eat, we all wash our hands. I will not let my husband get frisky me with unwashed hands. Absolutely not. I tell him he can give me a rooty and that works lol. Yuck. I always wash my hands as soon as I get back in the house from being out. Not the asshole. That's vile and nasty on his part. Face vomiting. Honestly, he probably doesn't as much, but at the same time nagging about it and belittling him isn't making it better. It is probably making him resent you and proper hygiene. You are both the are. Yes, you are belittling him and treating him like a toddler. He was making food for himself, not you. He probably overreacted due to your constant nagging. Am I the asshole for telling my niece to stay away from my kids? This screams helicopter dad or even but here I am regardless. And please, if you have any idea of what it sounds like my son might have, please let me know in the comments. His doctor won't evaluate him without going through the school and school is over. My wife and I have my niece every day from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. while her mother sleeps from working the overnight. We have 2 kids 12F and 6 meters. Now, as you've gathered, my son has issues. He is so quick to anger. Like he has absolutely no emotional regulation whatsoever. He's off the walls entirely. He's always running, jumping, climbing on things, hiding under things, making animal noises like dinosaur noises, etc. Even if he's on his tablet, he will be super involved with his tablet, the only thing that keeps him calm, but he will make squawking or screeching sounds randomly. Like stimming, I guess. But even if he is having a fantastic day, all it takes is one super minor trigger and all bets are off. My wife is a fantastic mom. She can usually calm him no problem. But my niece is absolutely a trigger. She purposely makes him feel like he isn't included or she doesn't want him around. But she will make sure to manipulate my daughter into not including her brother too. It's been causing one too many freakouts. Yesterday I absolutely had enough because I have openly told my niece to cut the shit on more than one occasion and she won't. She will wait until I walk away to start shit talking me to my daughter and then will get an attitude and start bossing my daughter around and still not include my son at all. My daughter is sweet as a peach without this girl around and there's no issues usually. But yesterday my niece wouldn't stop, so I told her to stay away from my kids. Told her to go play by herself. I told my sister what happened when she picked her kid up and she was pissed at me because it's not my kid's fault that she can't tolerate your son and his behaviors. You're putting too much on her. I told her that it's one thing to not have tolerance and a completely separate issue when it comes to being a bullying asshole. She said I can no longer watch her kid good, but now my family is ganging up on me. ETA my daughter doesn't like my niece. Nor does she want to hang out with her. She's asked me several times to not have my niece here, but even if she did, that has nothing to do with my post. Please stick to the question. Maybe I should have clarified more. My son does not even need to be near my niece. She has gone out of her way several times to go to him while he's on his tablet on the couch to poke at him and cause tension. My son does have issues, but he's not always the one causing them. If your son's doctor won't evaluate him, find a new doctor. Not the asshole. She said I can no longer watch her kid. Haha. Yeah. Like she was doing you a massive favor here. She's going to ask again. Say no. Not the asshole. If your niece is triggering your son and knows that but still actively tries to get on his nerves. It seems like your niece is the kind of kid that wants a reaction from others or more attention for something because she really is doing the most. Maybe your son has ASD. It's a very broad spectrum. What kind of symptoms does your son show? Info you post says you're mad because she's leaving him out. But you comments say it's because she's poking at him when he's trying to be by himself. So which is it? Sounds like your son could possibly have AD or is on the spectrum. It's like no one here has emotional control. Has it occurred to you that your 12-year-old daughter might actually welcome the opportunity to play with someone closer to her own age without her much younger brother who has serious issues? Have you been to the doctor and does the school have any ideas? Your description, I'd say autism or ADHD. But no one here is a doctor. Especially not with such little information. Do him a favor and take him to the doctor. Having a diagnosis helps kids not feel so different from everyone. Not the asshole for trying to make a safe place for your kids. Each kid should have a safe, quiet place they can be. And hopefully your son having a safe place will help him not feel overwhelmed, which should ease some of his triggers. Someone needs to be giving son appropriate sensory outlets. Niece may be ND herself and can't handle the noises and sensory input from your son, so she does the only thing she can to make them stop. Too much focus is on the behavior and not enough on the cause and accommodation for everyone. Withholding judgment because this isn't about your niece. It's about your son. I see he has not been evaluated. You need to do that. Get a different doctor. Do you help your son develop social-emotional learning? If not, you need to get him a therapist or set up with the school social worker. He needs to work on developing these skills now. These supports don't come out of thin air. You need to fight for them. Not the asshole. I suggest taking the win on no longer watching your niece. As to the family members ganging up on you, tell them you sure your sister will be pleased to know they are willing to step up and care for your niece. Not the asshole. No matter what the issues is, no one is entitled to free babysitting. You have your hands full with your own kids' issues. The family coming for you, tell them that your sister is going to be thrilled that they are volunteering their home and time to help her, since you have done your part to help at the expense of your son. This is your son's home. He should feel safe and not have someone bullying him. Not the asshole. A 10 years old has the capability to follow through on your requests. She does a whole moves shit talking you, getting and attitude and bossing. She can control these behaviors but chooses not to. The family ganging up on you can open their doors to watch your niece. Your sister lacks insight and empathy. It's best your house return to 2 kids. Not the asshole. Hopefully you won't have to deal with this anymore. Your sister is doing you a favor. Especially if your kids don't want their cousin to come over. Not the asshole. Based on the edit, your niece loves provoking him and then uses that response as an excuse to exclude him. As for what your son has, take him to a diagnostic psychologist and have them test him. Your doctor doesn't need to be involved in that process. Your son needs to be an OT to help with emotional regulation. I raised 3 sons. 2 have ADHD. In their elementary years they did better in school and focused better if they were involved in athletics. At one point they did 3 2-hour gymnastics workouts a week. I wouldn't dream of trying to diagnose your son, but perhaps added physical play would help him. Gluten allergies can cause emotional dysregulation. My brother used to be so overwhelming angry. With the barest of triggers, he'd practically black out from rage. Once gluten got removed from the diet, he's been so much better. Sounds a lot like your son has ADHD. Might be autism, but sounds more like ADHD from my experience. Find a different doctor, because it could take a long time to figure out the right meds at the right dose. And during school isn't the ideal time to tinker with that. But seriously, meds for ADHD can be a life changer for your son and your whole family. Not the asshole. Time to end the babysitting. Niece is old enough to stay home alone. Besides, it's not like she's really alone, since mom's there, though she's sleeping. Am I the asshole for expecting free babysitting since it was my family who asked for a visit? My husband and I were asked to visit our families in another state because we hadn't seen them in person for a few years. They mostly wanted to see our kids who are 1, 3 and 5. My husband and I made plans to go out when we got back to our hometown. Then we started texting people to see if they could babysit. Some didn't understand why we were asking, so I explained if we have to go through hell so people can see their nephews, grandsons, etc., then yes, they can all step up and give my husband some nights with just us. You're the asshole. What a weird, transactional approach to family. If you don't give a shit about seeing your family or them seeing your kids, don't bother coming. It's not like you were forced at gunpoint. If I were your family members, I'd probably have been happy to give you guys a night out. But not with this weird, rude attitude you have about it. Also, unless your families actually live in a town that requires a trek through the underworld to access, you are being weirdly dramatic about traveling to another state. People do it all the time. You're the asshole. Nobody owes you anything. You can ask, but it shouldn't be expected someone else will watch your kids the entire visit. It's not an our move to ask people to babysit or even see if grandparents will watch for a few hours to visit people or get some alone time without the kids. You're the asshole for the attitude and for making plans before even asking anyone if they would mind the kids for a bit. Your post seems very confrontational. This probably would have went a lot better if you turned your entitlement down a few notches and just had some chats with people. Requests produce more positive results than demands of expectations. You're the asshole. Entitled much. As a parent myself, I know the struggles with having kids, especially young ones. To expect others to watch your kids for free just because they wanted to visit with them takes the our trophy of the day. JFC, of course you're the asshole. No one made you go for a visit. Your children are not bargaining tools to get something you want. You're the asshole. No one owes you free babysitting. Our entitled parents. You're the asshole. Lol. Your entitlement is hilarious, and I hope no one accepted your demands. I don't think you'd be the asshole for wanting some time to yourself. That's very important, especially for young parents who don't get a lot of adult time. You definitely could have worded it differently though. Even just asking if they could do it instead of expecting it would have been the more polite way to go. You're the asshole. I suspect you have some resentment about this situation, which caused you to feel you are at least owed a night out. But your approach was very disrespectful, entitled, and inflammatory. It also seems very transactional. Very tit for tat. It would have been considerate for family to offer to watch the kids for a bit so that you could have that time, but not something they were obligated to do. So you really ought to check your attitude about it. YTA, your family wanted to see you. Instead, you're using them as a babysitting service. Just don't go if you don't want to be with them. Slight nah. Having been through something similar, I'll say you have to talk this over before you agree to go. Family members always insist we take the kids everywhere so they can spend time with them, but once we're there they lose all interest in the kids, and my wife are not able to enjoy the trip as much as we would have if we would have left the kids at home with a sitter as originally planned. We learned our lesson. You want to see the kids? Come visit them yourself. Not the asshole. These comments are wild. Sure, you sound a little entitled, but honestly I know my parents love watching their grandkids, and I think it's pretty normal to expect them to watch the kids for a night when that's their whole reason for wanting you to come in the first place. You have a weird attitude to your family minding your children, but your family also seem weird. Why would they not understand why you were asking them to watch your children so you and your husband can go out together? Surely they're the obvious people to ask when you're away from home visiting them. If it's too hard to visit, don't. The roads go both ways. Invite your family to visit you. Entire. If they're so into seeing your kids, let them make the trip. Work for it. If you need to travel, the ones that wanted to see the kids should be delighted to babysit. Not the asshole. You are right, they should help you. Or they can travel if they want to see them. Any fucking effort is expected. IDK. The other commenters kinda shat themselves because of your attitude, lol. You are mad, so you wrote a post. They just farm karma by this point. Not the asshole. I never expected any help from family and am usually really unsympathetic to anyone complaining about not getting help from family with kids they chose to have. In this case, however, your family sucks. They want all the fun and no responsibility after asking you to leave the comfort and safety of your home. They should travel to you from now on. BC. At least you won't have the added challenges of travel and unfamiliar environments while caring for your kids. They seem really clueless and/or ungrateful. Maybe there's a cultural thing here, because when my family invites me, husband and kid, or when they come to our place, they always offer to babysit for my husband and I to have time together. I'm from South Europe, and from my point of view, not the asshole. But again, if I just read the other answers, maybe it's from a cultural difference. Hey, we'd love to meet up with some friends while we're in town. Mom and Dad, would you mind taking the kids for a night? Takeout is on us. We'd be so grateful for a night out alone. See how easy that is. I know everyone is saying YTA. But I would love time with my grandkids and would love to be able to give my kids time out to reconnect with their spouse and friends. So I say not the asshole. You're the asshole, yes. That makes you an R. If someone offers, great. But expecting it IDK. I guess my family is different because this is a non-issue. I'm traveling home in a few weeks and absolutely expect my mom to keep the kids. We've discussed it as well and I made sure the dates worked, but my mom wants to see her grandkids. And I want to go on fun dates. Win-win. Not the asshole. I think it's a fairly standard expectation that your family would care enough about you and your kids to want to spend time with the kids and give you and your partner some time to do things on your own. I think you're an asshole in the way you dealt with it. But I think the expectation is reasonable. Everyone I know gets a night out when they visit family. Or family visits them. Literally every time we visit our in-laws, they watch the kids for at least an hour or two so we can go out for dinner. So, yeah, it makes sense that you would expect that. Because it's totally normal and common. I still think it's common courtesy to ask before making plans. And also, not being upset or rude if they say no. NTA for asking. You're the asshole for your attitude. No one owes you anything. You chose to come over. You chose to have kids and bring them over. Family is not for free babysitting. Just get a sitter or don't come over. You're the asshole. They want to see the kids and the family. If you want him to take care of them for the night, then establish that ahead of time and make a plan. It sounds like you're just doing it out of spite. Am I the asshole for saying that I don't want an expensive tray stolen at a wedding? My boyfriend and I were invited to his friend's wedding. I've met the bride and groom a few times. He has known him for decades. There is a local tradition for each guest to bring a dozen cookies to the wedding. Then at the wedding everybody's cookies are displayed together to make a cookie table. We wanted to participate, so we baked cookies the night before. I have a very beautiful and expensive tea tray. Boyfriend suggested that I use it to display the cookies. I said no. It's a 300-person wedding. I don't want some auntie accidentally taking it home with her. Boyfriend seemed fine with this. We found a simple bowl that was perfectly appropriate for the occasion, and used that to display the cookies. After the wedding, as we were preparing to leave and I went to retrieve my bowl, boyfriend told the newlyweds that I didn't want to use my tea tray because I thought one of their guests might steal it. I tried to backtrack by saying that I just didn't want it to get misplaced or damaged. But he called me out on lying. The newlyweds said something about everyone there being friends and family. It was very awkward and we left shortly. I am angry because I told him that in confidence and he should have known better than to repeat that to his friends, even though they were very close. Example of cookie table photo from the internet. The tea tray. The bowl. Not the asshole. What is your BF's problem? What could he possibly hope to have accomplished by saying that? Not the asshole. Over the years, I have lost many things at potlucks. It happens. You were correct in using something you could live without if it got lost in the shuffle. Your BF was a bit crass in bringing up your concern. IMHO. Your boyfriend is a jerk. And this shit does happen. I loaned my very perfect and expensive silver tea service for a wedding. As I was in the wedding, I didn't see what they were up to until it was too late. Someone took my service off the tray and used a carving knife to cut up meat and cheese on the tray, gouging huge score marks all over it. It is ruined. So not the asshole for wanting your property to be protected. But I would seriously consider if you want to be in a relationship with someone who would do you dirty like that. Not the asshole. But your man sure is no more cookies for him until he learns to behave better in public. Not the asshole. It is super easy for someone to walk off with the wrong tray in a situation like this. It is absolutely common sense to take something you don't mind being broken or lost. Your BF is an ass. Clearly doesn't own anything he's worried about losing. And has no respect for your belongings. Seriously, what he did was a total dick move and literally only served one purpose. Which hugely telling. His sole purpose was making you look bad. Why would you want to be with someone who would do that? Not the asshole. First, it's your property. You get to decide how and when it's used. Second, it doesn't matter if it's friends and family. I've been to plenty of weddings and I've seen people act like real assholes. I've seen plenty of friends and family stealing stuff. Even if they don't, would the couple have been willing to reimburse you for the loss? If the answer is no, then mine would have been as well. Not the asshole. Your BF's an idiot and should learn to self-regulate. What a way to ruin the sentiment by blurting out totally unnecessary comments and then doubling down. Next time you're out, friends. Feel free to share his worries about his ed. You're not the asshole, but your boyfriend sure is. What exactly was he trying to accomplish in this scenario besides embarrassing you? Not the asshole. I'm assuming if I bring something to an event that big, it's no longer mine. It's hard enough tracking down a dish after 10-person potlucks. $12 Costco platter for the wedding. Not the asshole. There's no way I would leave Wedgwood out where any rando, and that includes staff, could take it. Your BF is a real asshole for bringing up your comment unprompted. I'm assuming he disagreed with your decision and wanted to watch you squirm. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend most definitely is the R. I wouldn't place a tray I didn't want misplaced at a wedding table. No matter how close I was to the bride and groom. You did the right thing. Not the asshole. Why would your BF put you in an awkward position like that? He is tar for sure. What a way to ruin the sentiment by blurting out something totally unnecessary and then doubling down. Not the asshole. It's perfectly reasonable to want to protect your nice tea tray. Regardless of the truth. There are certain times when the truth just doesn't need to be said. Your boyfriend created drama for no reason. Not the asshole. Wedgwood is not for large gatherings of strangers. No way I would use that for this sort of occasion. Also super dick move on BF's part. Not the asshole. As a fellow contributor to a cookie table, I'm still bitter about the very nice storage containers I never got back a decade ago. Your boyfriend is something else though. Not the asshole at all. Your BF needs to develop the appropriate filter. Usually by adulthood people understand these social nuances pretty well. But some get left behind. Not the asshole. There was absolutely no reason for your boyfriend to divulge what was said in private. Not the asshole. What was he gaining from telling him this information? It makes no sense to mention this to them unless he was being obtuse and didn't realize how it would come across. I'm confused, and I also would be upset with him if I were you. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend is a massive that was completely unnecessary. Until I used to brush off my ex doing me dirty like this. Until I realized it's actually a subtle sabotage. He slowly went around and made people hate me by his little whispers or uncouth behavior. It took me realizing how much I was isolated after a year with him. My friends disappeared. But I would too if simple negative comments about me were being shared at that rate. Get away from him quickly. Not the asshole. Your BF is the asshole. Not the asshole. Why would your husband do that? It feels like he was deliberately trying to embarrass you. Either that or he's just plain stupid. Not the asshole. And your BF is in a hole. That isn't something you share. Jeez. Not the asshole. Dude totally threw you under the bus. Why not the asshole? What the hell is wrong with that man? What did he go say something stupid like that for? Completely uncalled for. Completely unnecessary. You are well within your rights to bring something less expensive to put the cookies in than some antique old or even family heirloom you cared about. He should have respected that, and he shouldn't have broken your confidence. The man is an idiot and sounds completely socially awkward. Not the asshole. Dollar Tree dishes are my go-to source for potluck dishes. I often add serving utensils and just don't even worry about bringing anything home. Your boyfriend is an ass for deliberately introducing conflict where it wasn't needed. Not the asshole. He wanted you to take a Wedgwood piece out of your house. To a large gathering. That's enough to know he's in the wrong. The socially awkward follow-up with the bride and groom is also problematic. Only you can say whether it's accidental or mean-spirited. Not the asshole. BF is an R. Am I the asshole for wanting to move away from my daughter to live my best life? No. I'm not a deadbeat mom. My daughter is an adult F33. My daughter is married with a 1.5-year-old child. She and her hubby got jobs in another city before the baby was born. My spouse and I also retired 2 years before they had the baby. We later bought a house in the same city that she and her hubby relocated to. My daughter kept sending me for sale listings. I also asked her hubby if he was okay with us moving close to them. Once they announced they were expecting pregnant. The house we bought is a 10-minute drive to their house. We have now owned this house for 2.5 years. Then COVID happened, so my daughter did not have the opportunity to get out in the community and meet people. She is very social. I also bought the house to help her adjust to new motherhood while on mat leave, and offered the house to be used by her out-of-town friends and son-in-law's family when we went on vacation or to our cottage. I also bought the house because my daughter said that she might not be able to get daycare until the baby was 18 mo, and her hubby traveled for work, so I would be close by to help her. Daughter has now returned to work. They got full-time daycare, and her hubby no longer travels for work. When her out-of-town friends' family visit, they prefer to stay at their place. My daughter and husband like the weekends for their family time, which I respect. So there will be very little need for us. My daughter grew up in a multi-generational home duplex from age 8. The grandparents on the main floor. Myself, hubby and daughter on the upper floors unit. So, she loved bouncing back and forth from our home to the grandparents. It was the old-fashioned village. But there were challenges at times. I worked full-time for 44 years. And also looked after my parents during their declining years until they passed just before I retired. COVID kept my hubby and I quite isolated during our first few years of retirement. But spending time with our daughter and Sil helped us to not feel isolated. My son-in-law's father lives 4 hours away from them, and his mother lives in the US, a 14-hour drive, but they visit them a few times per year. I want to move to a city that will be 3 hours away from our daughter and her family, as we love that city-town vibe, and it also has a large seniors population with an abundance of things for active seniors to do. My hubby wants to do this move too. We would then come for frequent visits when invited needed and stay in their home, just like her in-laws do. But my daughter thinks AITA for wanting to move away and not continue to be a village generation. Since they do not have any relatives living in the city they choose to live in. I think my daughter feels rejected and that I am being selfish to move away from her hubby and the baby. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. X200B. This is probably the first time in your life you've been in a position to make the life for yourself that you want. You've spent years, probably decades, taking care of everyone else, raising kids, helping with grandkids, taking care of aging relatives. Don't spend your whole life doing for others. You deserve some time to do the things you want to do and enjoy the things you love. You deserve the opportunity to figure out who you are on your own. X200B. Your daughter is being selfish. Move. And enjoy every bit of fun and happiness you can get in that new city. You're not responsible for caring for your grandchildren. Your daughter not wanting you to move away because it is inconvenient for her childcare needs is not your issue to deal with. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're in your golden years. Enjoy them. You have worked full-time for 44 years. You deserve to do what you want with your retirement. Take the move and visit when you want. They can also make the effort to visit you. Not the asshole. Your daughter saying you need to stay close in case she needs you is what is selfish. She wants you to plan your life around hers. After dedicating all of her life to her, your daughter needs to grow up and needs a serious reality check. Grandparents aren't wrong for not wanting to be as responsible or accountable as parents. Not the asshole. In an emergency, I expect you'd find a way to help. But you are under no obligation for ongoing availability. It appears your daughter is living quite independently from you, which is fine. But she can't expect you to be there just in case. She wants a multi-generational household without you having much to do with the household, which I find puzzling. I'd say go live your life the way you want. The kid's an actual adult and not in financial straits or anything. And you're not talking about moving to the other side of the planet. Not the asshole. Not even close. Not the asshole. You've raised your daughter. She has a family of her own and doesn't rely on you so much. It's time you and your husband to put yourselves first and not let your daughter guilt you into staying for her own selfish reasons. Go for it. Nah. You're not the asshole for wanting to move away. But I don't think your daughter is tough for wanting you to be close by. She's not demanding you be full-time childcare. It sounds like she just genuinely wants to have you near. Not the asshole. Sure, maybe moving away could be considered selfish, but honestly, it's selfishness in the best way. We don't owe our entire lives to other people. I think the term selfish has negative connotations because we are somehow expected to only give and consider others, and that's not a healthy way to live. Enjoy your retirement. You have earned it. Not the asshole. It looks like your daughter is more interested in what the village can do for her than in what she can do for the village. Buy your house in the town of your dreams and visit your daughter and grandchildren frequently. Not the asshole. You have worked hard. You deserve your best retirement. 4 hours is nothing. Not the asshole. Do what's best for you and enjoy. It's only a few hours away. Not the asshole. Your daughter is a grown woman with a family and should be able to take care of herself. You'll still be able to visit and help out with emergencies. Don't shackle yourself to your daughter if you don't want to. Not the asshole. 3 hours is nothing. She's an adult. A full-grown adult and not a barely there 22 years old. She's probably in her feelings. But you don't have to stay in the same city forever. Nah. I grew up without much family around, and if I were to have kids I'd want them to be raised differently. I'd feel hurt if my parents decided to leave just as I was settling in, and I can see where your daughter is coming from in her perspective. However, you're not the R for wanting to go somewhere else and live a different type of lifestyle at this point in your life. I can't imagine living 3 hours away from my grandkids. But I get to see them most days, and because of my daughter and son-in-law's professions they work 12 hours shifts, so I do watch the kids. But even if I didn't, I wouldn't move so far away. My grandparents were such an important part of my life growing up, and I want that for my grandkids. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that my mother will never love her and to stop trying? I have been married to my wife for 2 years, and the best way to describe my mother is cold. She not's rude or anything, it's just disinterested in my wife. The best way I can explain my mom is that she is tired. She had a really hard life. Doesn't have much affection left to give, and she rarely gets close to anyone. It's pure disinterest, and she can't bring herself to care about new people. She's a retired old lady that just want to sit on the porch, not make small talk with people. I've explained this to my wife before and told my mother's story. We had a little get-together at my mom's house. My mom doesn't like it when people bring food. She works all day to make a spread and it's like her thing. She just wants to provide for the guests. My wife came from work and she brought food. Potatoes salad. I stop her from bringing it in. The whole night she is just bothering her when she was on the porch. Asking her if she wants to go on a shopping trip. When my mom asks for some quiet she still talks on. When I was walking by she asked me to take my wife away from her. This made my wife upset, but I did it since I could see mom was getting close to the end of her rope. We had a talk in the car what that was all about. And she just wants to be loved by her mill. She is being nice so she doesn't get why she doesn't like her. I told her my mother will never love her and to just stop. What she is doing is actively making her dislike you and to leave the women alone. She called me a jerk and hasn't spoken to me since. Edit was told to include this comment, from an info comment. Almost never. Most of the time if people join her on the porch it's very little a small talk or just join her. Watching the garden. She doesn't care how loud they are in the house or anything like that. She likes watching others have a good time. More of an observer than anything. She asked for quiet with my wife since she was just going on for a while. My sister was out there and told me mom tried politer ways to ask for her to be quiet and it didn't work. Also the direct request didn't work with my wife and she kept going. She's a retired old lady that just want to sit on the porch, not make small talk with people. Honestly, your mom sounds like my life goals. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. Not the asshole. It sucks for your wife, but let people be. Not everyone will be liked by everyone and your wife should be old and mature enough to understand that. Info does stop trying include your wife not having to spend time with your mother anymore. I like old people like your mom. Would love to sit quietly in the garden with her. I can't stand it when people talk too much around me when I want peace. Also have a thing where I don't like people who try too hard. Your mom is so relatable. I don't think you're an asshole. You were just trying to tell the truth and your wife has a hard time accepting when reality doesn't meet her expectations. I hope tensions will ease up for you guys again soon. Damn, instead of just saying hey babe don't try so hard let her warm up to you. You just went full on abandon all hope ye who enter into my family. Soft, you're the asshole. Your mother-in-law cooked a feast for you and her. That's her way of showing love. That's what you should have said instead of saying the love is not there. Not the asshole. I don't think your wife has bad intentions at all. But she has to realize you can't force a relationship with someone. Particularly when you're treating them the way you'd want to be treated rather than the way they want to be treated. If your mom were being actively disrespectful to your wife I would call you an R for not standing up for her. But it sounds like your mom just wants to be left alone. Nah. But you could have been more compassionate to your wife. I love you so much, and I see how hard you're trying. My mom likes her isolation and she will warm up faster if you respect her needs. You're a very likable person and I'm really sorry you won't have a close relationship with her. Not the asshole. My husband's elderly aunt is exactly the same as OP's context. My husband was raised mostly by her. Spinster prefers being by herself, reason why she never married. When I first met her I tried to get her approval a lot. Made dinner for her. Invited her to go out and always had the same dismissive behavior with me, so after a while I gave up on it, and after not trying anymore, we sort of got along better. I left her alone and she was happy sometimes. By not trying we get what we are aiming for, I guess. Not the asshole. I think that attachment styles and love languages are different here and causing all the issues. Your wife still thinks that she can get her mill to love her. Are there some patterns in her life that make her wish to be loved? Perhaps let her down easy. But I know it is hard when some people have that I need to be loved syndrome. They get hurt. Hopefully you understand where she is coming from and help her understand not everyone will appreciate her. This is a tough one. On one hand, your mother has a right to sit in silence on her front porch, making minimal conversation. On the other hand, your wife wants a relationship with her mill. I don't think it's a huge ask for your mom to be cordial with her. Bottom line, if I was your wife, I wouldn't ever go to a gathering at your mother's place again. Seriously, what's the point of having people over if you're going to sit outside and not interact with anyone? Not the asshole. Your wife isn't being nice. Nice would be treating your mother the way your mother wants to be treated, not the way your wife wants to treat her. I think saying love in the manner you did was probably not the most tactful way to say it, but tact wasn't working. You're the asshole and it's crazy PPL don't seem to agree. Your wife is trying to get along with her in-laws and you tell her that your mom will never love her. That's just so bizarre. How did we go from she prefers the quiet to she'll never love you, so stop trying? Of course your wife would feel upset. That's a completely valid response and it's so surprising that so many PPL don't see that. I'm an introverted person. I hate small talk as much as the next guy. But I would never ask my son to get their wife away from me BC she was being chatty. That's so rude and disrespectful. Info: why does your mom ask people to come over and be quiet? All the people or just your wife? Not the asshole. Your mom wants to be left the hell alone. Your wife has an innate desire to be loved by her. And or dote on her. Oil and water don't mix. Keep them apart as best you can. YTA and so is your mom. Admitting you're rude doesn't make it less rude. EW. You and your mom are the assholes. Why have a get-together when you're going to be so rude to your guests? I'm an introvert too. But your mom just sounds controlling and mean. Esh. You all sound horrible. I'm so happy to not be a part of this family. She is just bothering her when she was on the porch. Rude. She asked me to take my wife away from her. Rude. I told her my mother will never love her. Rude. You're the asshole for constantly sticking up for your mother but not once sticking up for your wife. That is why your wife is upset. You're choosing sides. You're the asshole. Not the asshole. People who beg me for attention won't have good results either. Not the asshole. Sometimes in life we just have to accept people for who they are and the actual bond we have with them. Not aim for an idealized imaginary relationship. There's obviously exceptions for abuse or rudeness, but it sounds like your mum is civil when not pushed beyond her boundaries. Am I the asshole for saying I have 2 kids? I've been with my fiancé for 6 years and she came into the relationship with 3 kids, whom I adore. Their dad isn't in the picture very often, once every 6-8 months. They don't call me dad or anything, but they treat me like a father figure. They gifted me a dog 2 years ago for Father's Day. The fiancé was a bit upset about that one. Whoops. Well, now my fiancé is pregnant 6 months and we were out on the boat the other day with my buddy and my buddy's wife. They were asking if I was excited about the pregnancy and having a biological kid, and I said, well, I have 2 kids now. Referring to my dog. My fiancé just got extremely quiet and didn't say anything. But my buddy's wife piped up with, wow. You just made yourself sound like a fucking prick. I ask why, and she goes, you have 3 kids at home that you've taken care of for 6 years, but sure. Only include the fleabag your fiancé never wanted and unborn child into the number of children you have. I tried defending myself, but ultimately the damage was done. Now, I spoke to my fiancé about it later because she didn't defend me on the boat. But she didn't agree with my buddy's wife either, and she goes, that did bother me. And no, I don't want to talk about it. I have a lot to process right now. I tried again defending myself, and that's when she kind of snapped at me and said that I not only made a fool of myself but also made her and her kids look bad in the process because I claimed my dog as my child but not the actual human kids I've helped raise. She currently isn't speaking to me, and I've definitely heard her crying. Am I really wrong, or is this Willie go sleep there? The guy chimes in, commenting that lots of people would surely pay to look at me. My friend scolds him for being a creep and he plays dumb. Later that night we go to dinner, and this guy of course sits in front of me. My friend sits next to me, but with her back directed towards me throughout the whole dinner. So I am forced to interact with this guy, while professors keep teasing me because I am so quiet. My friend even encourages the guy to keep talking to me, despite me previously telling her I was very uncomfortable. In the end, the guy asks me to go out together. I refuse, saying I am very busy at this point. I was panicking, and I was so stupid not to say I am in a relationship or that I am not interested. He keeps insisting and I keep rejecting him. Finally the dinner ends, and I am very upset both at him and at my friend for not helping me at all through this uncomfortable situation. The first day we are all back home. He texts me, how are you? OFC, I don't reply, since I am still bothered. My friend however tells me I was being too harsh on him. Am I the asshole? I feel like I gave him so many signals that I was not interested and he actively chose to ignore them. On the other side, maybe I was not clear enough on not being interested in him. Not the asshole. It sounds like he made the entire trip horrible for you. And your friends and professors did nothing to help you. That sucks and I'm sorry. But you need to block that creep now. Not the asshole, but next time, if you feel safe, use your words. I'm not interested. Please leave me us alone. Goes a long way. Your friend is definitely an R for encouraging the guy though. Not the asshole. Except you shouldn't have given him your number. So what if your professors are close by and it might create a scene? Let him be made a spectacle of if he won't leave you alone. And you should have piped right up when your professors agreed that you were being quiet and told them the guy was harassing you and saying creepy, inappropriate things to you. Never be afraid of public opinion when someone is harassing you. It's about them, not you. You're the victim. You should go around to the professors and tell them what was going on and how you felt like nobody had your back. Not the asshole. He has no right to your time or attention. In the instance that this happens again, you may have to be more blunt. Very, very blunt. Not the asshole. Not harsh enough in my opinion. You rejected him once. After that you're allowed to go off a little bit. Not the asshole. He is creepy and you need to block him. Being polite to him has not worked. OMG, not the asshole. Holy shit. It pains me to see how many women still have to deal with these clearly violating situations. That man has no right to behave the way he is behaving around you. Whether or not you gave in. Don't beat yourself up for saying yes out of discomfort. What you should do now is be as assertive as you can with him in front of the rest of your social circle and reject him. Make it very clear that you feel uncomfortable. If he escalates his creepiness, get an authority involved. Your safety is your top priority. Not the asshole. But it's important to learn how to say no. Don't expect people to get hints. Be clear. You don't owe politeness to anyone. Build some boundaries and stand up for yourself. Not the asshole. I was so stupid not to say I am in a relationship. Not true. No is a full sentence. You don't need an excuse. Not the asshole. 1. This dude is giving mega creepy vibes. 2. Your friend is a hypocrite. She is allowed to be rude to him, but when you are declining his advances, you are harsh. 3. The fact that you expressed your fear and uneasiness to your friend yet she ignored you and forced an interaction with him is major red flag. 4. What kind of professors comment on a student quietness? This type of behavior is what forces introverted people to feel uncomfortable with themselves. To add, how dense are these teachers that they can't see this creep is making you uncomfortable. Absolutely pathetic at their jobs. I'm not even going to read this and say no. You are never obligated to pay attention to someone who is making you uncomfortable. Full stop. Period. End of sentence. Not the asshole. I am uncomfortable even reading this. Shame on those professors. Report this to the school if you see him again and he says anything more than hello to you. Not the asshole. Personally, I'd let him know I wasn't interested much sooner than you did. But you're home and away from him now. It's okay to just let this go. Maybe block his number. Not the asshole. And you are not stupid for saying you were busy instead of something else. Like you're already in a relationship or not interested. He should have taken the hint long before it got to that point. And you were being soft with him because he was scaring you. You know men can be dangerous when they're being rejected. And you were doing what felt safest so as to not set this weirdo off. Everyone here failed you. Your friend is not your friend. And fuck those professors. 2. Not the asshole at all. You gave a lot of clear signals that you weren't interested and he kept being an absolute trash can of a person. I'm also really irritated with your pushy, unhelpful friend and those clueless professors, unless they were those kind of people who say, he's teasing you cause he likes you, then they're even worse. Block his number ASAP and tell your friend they're an asshole. Lol. Not the asshole. Block him. In future, don't give out your number and don't be afraid to make a scene when someone is making you uncomfortable. They deserve to be uncomfortable as well, and the more eyes on you in these situations, the safer you will be. Am I the asshole for not wanting to dedicate half my wedding to my fiancé's sister? I got engaged to my boyfriend, Peter, in early 2023 and our wedding is scheduled for early 2024. Peter has a sister, Olivia, who's 15 and was recently diagnosed with leukemia. She's receiving chemotherapy and as far as I know, it's not terminal. One of Olivia's dreams in life is to get married. Ever since I've known her, she's talked about her future wedding and has planned every last detail. since she got diagnosed. She's become very worried that she won't be able to have her dream wedding because she might pass before that happens. Based on what I know about her diagnosis, she'll likely survive and go on to live a full life. But it's a definite possibility she could die. Peter and I are currently in the wedding planning stage. And this is also where we might be the assholes. Peter's parents approached us a few days ago and asked if we would be willing to dedicate some of our wedding time to Olivia since she might not get one of her own. According to them, Olivia wants to wear a wedding dress, invite a lot of her friends, have a say in the food, cake decorations, and have a first dance with her boyfriend. They said it's better to do all this at me and Peter's wedding because then the family can celebrate all together. Peter and I were shocked that they would ask this since we thought that our wedding would be about us. I know Olivia is struggling and I feel completely awful for her since no teenager should have their youth ruined by cancer. But I don't see why we can't have a separate party for Olivia instead of having to dedicate half our day to her, especially since she would likely get most of the attention due to her condition. Additionally, it would cost a lot more money to have to pay for Olivia's friends to attend the wedding. Peter's parents only offered to pay for 75% of the additional cost, and Peter and I aren't made of money. Peter and I told Peter's parents we would think about it. But after discussing it, we decided it would be better to say no because we'd prefer our day to be about us. But we'd be more than willing to pitch in funds and help plan a separate party for Olivia. But when we informed Peter's parents, they were furious. They said they couldn't believe we were prioritizing ourselves over a child with cancer and that we were being selfish. They said this might be Olivia's only chance for a wedding and how dare we deny her dying wish. I said I didn't understand why we couldn't have a separate party. But Peter's parents said they wanted it to feel authentic for Olivia. So it would be better to do it at an actual wedding. When they started raising their voices, Peter and I left. But since then Peter's family has been spamming us with messages about how terrible we're being to Olivia and how they can't believe we're not being considerate of her wishes. Peter and I both frequent this sub. So we wanted to know what the internet thinks. Are we being unreasonable here? Not the asshole. This is such a weird take for your in-laws to have that I can only imagine it's the emotional panic of the idea their daughter could die that has them thinking this is even remotely okay. It's your wedding. It's supposed to be about you. I wonder if they are worried that Olivia going to your wedding is going to make her depressed, and this is their weird way of offsetting that. It would make way more sense for them to do all these wedding type things for Olivia's sweet 16. Obviously I have no idea how close that date is, and I mean cancer can upend the best of plans at any time. Not the asshole. Honestly I find the whole thing kind of repulsive. A fake wedding for a maybe dying child is maudlin and in very poor taste. Wearing a wedding dress is not a wedding. Cutting a cake is not a wedding. Having a first dance is not a wedding. A wedding is a sacred commitment, including God or not, between two people who want to spend their lives together. This is nothing but a farce. Tell her the truth. She will live. She will be fine. She will go out with a million frogs way before she ever finds her prince. And when she's ready she will have her wedding. This crazier than a sack full of squirrels. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Looking at this in the best light for them. They're in a state of anticipatory grief and are fixated on something they can do or for something else to be angry at. As blunt as it sounds, your wedding isn't a suitable place for a Make-A-Wish style deal, and it's Completely reasonable to say no. Return their money and elope. Then they can afford the fake wedding of their daughter's dreams. Not the asshole. This is nuts. She can have a party. But a fake wedding is inappropriate and frankly ridiculous. Also, what about her boyfriend? I have a 15-year-old son. And the thought of him being guilted, emotionally bullied into being some kind of groom to placate a sick girl makes me want to grab him and run for the hills. And don't say they would just be two kids messing about. She's wearing a wedding dress. Not the asshole. Their plan sounds so gross. She is 15. As the parent of a daughter currently going through leukemia treatment, that is a crazy request. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Having a separate party for Olivia is reasonable and the attention would be all on her at her own party. Your wedding should be about you and your fiancé. Not the asshole. A separate party would be the best solution for everyone. Even for Olivia. I think your in-laws are being the selfish ones. Since they probably know it will be easier and cheaper for them to let Olivia and her friends tag along in your wedding. Not the asshole. It's very easy to get caught up in it's the poor girl's wish. Don't. Yeah. It's sad. But doesn't give anyone the right to take your day away from you. You did offer a reasonable compromise. If her parents are so worried about her wishes, they should do a wedding-like party for her. All relatives who do care about her and her friends will be able to attend or make time to attend. Right? Asking you to compromise your wedding is not okay. Not the asshole. Their request is insane. It's understandable that they're worried about Olivia. But that doesn't mean you should have to give up your special day. You were very generous with your offer. And the fact that they got mad even after saying you'd help plan something for Olivia is ridiculous. Not the asshole. They essentially want your wedding to be Olivia's wedding. Shush is 15 and as far as you know it's not terminal. She can have her dream wedding when she's older. Throwing a separate party for her though is a beautiful thought and takes nothing away from your special day. Not the asshole. There will be no issue paying for a separate big party for her. All those people calling you out will be very happy to be there and help your in-laws pay for it. Right? I would like to know what Olivia's boyfriend and his parents think of this cockamamie plan, because that could potentially severely fuck him up. And how does he say no to wedding his girlfriend's fake husband for a dance? If he were my son, they would have to come get him over my dead body. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'd be thinking about eloping now. Because even if stop asking for this, you know they're going to plan something behind your back, hijack part of your day. Peter's parents only offered to pay for 75 of the additional cost. Not the asshole. They are off their rockers. And not even offering to pay for 100 of it exemplifies that. Not the asshole. Have you asked the parents how the groom and his parents feel about this? What happens when Olivia gets better and the groom wants to break up? This whole idea is insanity. Stand your ground. Am I the asshole for letting my brother-in-law who lived in Peru learn the hard way about my llamas? My brother-in-law spent a summer in Peru with his parents when he was a teen. I don't know why, but this has become his personality. I had a fun cocktail party at my apartment when I lived in the city. My sister brought him as they had just begun dating. He spent most of the time complaining that my pisco sours weren't very authentic and he has much better ones in Peru. We went out a couple of years later and ate at a little restaurant downtown that had tasty ceviche. Nope, it was done all wrong. You get the idea. Well, we all grew up, and I married a guy who owns a small bit of land outside my hometown. We have a bit of an animal rescue and I love it. There is only one pube in the pie. Larry and Darnell. Llamas. They are ill-tempered assholes. I still love them, but I have grown to understand their moods. They don't have BLS, but it seems close sometimes. But the worst thing is that they spit. A lot. And accurately. My sister's family is spending 2 weeks with us this summer to get the kids out of the city, and so the cousins can all spend time together. I gave everyone the same warning. Keep away from the llamas, they aren't friendly. My brother-in-law knew better because he had lived in Peru and used them as pack animals. Well, he is currently in the bathroom washing out his mouth for the last 15 minutes. He went right over to the llamas to show his kids they weren't dangerous. And he got a double barrel of llama phlegm right in his mouth and his eye. He called me an asshole for not telling him that my llamas spit. All llamas spit. Anyone who lived in Peru and used them as pack beasts would know this. I found out from my sister just now is that he went to a touristy golf course that has llamas as carriers for the golf clubs. He didn't even go on a long hike with them. Am I the asshole for not being more explicit in my warning? Not the asshole. Sounds like your brother-in-law is a drama llama. Not the asshole. I showed this to a colleague that is from Peru. Not just a summer, but born and raised. It's been 10 minutes and she's still laughing. Not the asshole, and this is hilarious. He got what he deserved. I thought it was common knowledge that llamas are big jerks. Not the asshole, I mean you did warn him. As did Robin Williams in Aladdin. He should have known. Intar. This was a satisfying read. This guy is an idiot. Even if he knew llamas. Which he obviously doesn't. He doesn't know your llamas. It's his problem that he didn't heed your warning. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your bill sounds insufferable. If he is using a summer vacation from childhood as the basis of his personality, then he has no personality. He acts like a know-it-all brat. What happened to him is hilarious and absolutely not your fault. I feel bad for his spouse and kids. He sounds like an immature college kid, not an adult with a family. Edit fixed autocorrect mishap. Lol. Not the asshole. This is great comeuppance. Mr. Peru got your standard warning but was too wrapped up with his own expertise in Peru to understand. He got taught. Not the asshole. And give Larry and Darnell an extra treat for being so awesome and putting Bill Drama Llama in his place. This made my day. Not the asshole. Your bill sounds completely obnoxious and insufferable. It's good he got a comeuppance, maybe he'll finally shut up. Not the asshole. This is hilarious. Also, I got spit in the face by a llama in Ecuador. So I can confirm that. Yes. All llamas spit. Info: do any of them wear hats? It's really important to know if there are hat-wearing llamas in the vicinity. Does one have a green hat with a bobble on top? If yes, do you have some form of bunker or interstellar travel? Just here for the pube in the pie comment trophy. Not the asshole. This guy 100 had it coming. Llama tax. Please provide photos of the heroes of this story, Larry and Darnell. Not the asshole. He claimed he knew about llamas. Not the asshole. You warned him. He ignored the warning. He paid the price. Hell. I've never even seen a real llama and I already knew to be careful around them because they spit. Not the asshole. Would have he lived in a cave his whole life with no internet? He would still know a llama spits. Spitting like a llama. You know. I don't know if the llamas spit on you often. But I figured out something when I lived on a llama farm. I would eat peppermints every time I fed them. Eventually, it got to the point that just having a peppermint in my mouth guaranteed no spitting at me. Because I was the bearer of food, and if you spit at the food bearer, she walks away with the food for 15 minutes. Not the asshole, except I read this as Larry and Daryl, not Darnell, and was wondering where is Larry's other brother Daryl. Haha, brilliant. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, fuck him for not listening. And fuck llamas. Getting that mix of phlegm and stomach acid spit in your face is horrible. He should have listened. Not the asshole, haha, Larry and Darnell are the real heroes here, lol. Him, I spent a whole month in Peru. 20 years ago. So I know everything there is to know about Peru. I spent so much time around llamas. Also him, your llama spit at me. You should have warned me they spit. I've never been to Peru and haven't spent time with a llama ever. But one look at a llama and I thought to myself, this thing looks like a camel cousin, and it probably is a spitty truth. Not the asshole, you Bill fucked around and snotted out. BLS. Not the asshole, hilarious. Not the asshole. How immersed in the culture was he? A former co-worker's husband spent a summer in Peru. His host family had lots and lots of guinea pigs. Everywhere. He thought they were pets. In his broken Spanish, he asked if he could pet and hold one. Well, you may see where this is going. They butchered one in front of him, prepped it, cooked it, and served it to him. Guinea pigs are common cuisine in Peru. Bill, I know llamas better than you know llamas. Approaches the llamas. Llamas do llama things. Bill, how dare you not warn me that your llamas do llama things? Not the asshole, and this is one of the funniest posts I've ever read on here. Face vomiting. Not the asshole. Llamas are 1 for 4 South American camelids. Camelids spit. It is in their nature. You did warn people to stay away from the llamas as they were not friendly. I am not sure if I could held back my laughter at the incident. Not the asshole.